Hey YouTube, I have yet another unbox video. I've been on a little bit of a bender with the airplanes lately. I realize that, but this is a plane that I saw, and after flying at the new field that I'm on, I kind of thought this might be a really good successor to one of my favorites, which is the Tower Hobbies Millennium Master. So that plane is the Millennium Master is a low-wing tricycle gear arrangement, and I take that flying every time I go out. So the reason I kind of looked at this Pilatus and the reason it caught my attention is because it's a tricycle gear plane with retracts. The Millennium does not have retracts. So when I saw this and I thought about our runway and the fact that I fly my Millennium Master basically every single time I go flying, I thought this might be a really good successor to that plane and more durable because it's balsa instead of foam, which it's subject to hanger rash and paint chips and that kind of thing. So anyway, I saw it at Tower and thought I want to give this thing a try because I've been really happy with the Phoenix model airplanes that I've had so far. And as much as I like flying my Millennium Master, I thought this might be a really good next step for me because it'll be faster, it'll be a little more durable, has retract gear, and after doing some reading about this plane, I found out, I didn't know this when I first started looking at it, but I found out that this is basically like the worldwide military trainer. In the US, we call it the AT-6 Texan, I believe, and it's a blue and white scheme, and Tower also sells that one. It's a little more expensive than the non-US version. This copy obviously is the Australian version. You can see with the little kangaroo there on the decal sheet. And Pilatus is a Swiss company, and it turns out that I think it was Beech Aircraft got into a partnership with Pilatus and modified the original Pilatus. This is the PC-9. They modified the original Pilatus for U.S. military use and came up with what they now call the AT-6 Texan. So anyway, given that the airplane is basically used worldwide for military trainers, I definitely thought this might be a really solid airframe to take as my next step in evolution as I move into slightly larger aircraft outside of the small foamy park flyers, now that I actually have a park to fly in. So anyway, with all the unboxing I've done, I used to start with the box and then take the lid off and then say, okay, I'm going to pause and take the cover off. We're not doing that this time. I just already laid everything out. And I'll go through the parts just to show you what you get in the kit. But one of the things I want to point out right away, and this is one of the things that Phoenix is kind of known for, is the quality of their covering. And this model, no exception. The covering is really good. In fact, when I was laying the parts out, I noticed I kind of laid the ailerons together, and I want to just point that out. Look at the edge lines for where the red and the white meet, and if you follow that down the aileron, they meet pretty much exactly on the same spot on the back. Now, I know there's some really talented people out there who can cover airplanes, but that to me is impressive. I mean, they're very detail oriented. They just do a really nice job with their coverings at Phoenix. So this kit was no exception. I've already looked everything over. I'll just hold the wing up and give you an idea. Oh, interesting thing about this wing. You notice that the cradle section of the wing right there in the middle is flat, and then it curves up. So there's a little dihedral, and that's mimicked, of course, on the other wing. So I think the phrase for that is polyhedral. I know what a polyhedral wing looks like. I'm not sure if this qualifies because there's no bend in the middle. There's just bends on the ends. And I know for most airplanes that I've seen that claim to be polyhedral, what you'll see is some slight dihedral maybe in the middle and then some curved up at the end. I'm not sure if I have that right, but at any rate, this is definitely not a flat wing. So I don't expect this will be one of those airplanes that you'll do a lot of time upside down. Although, I've flown the Corsair upside down. I've seen a lot of other guys do it too. So we'll see. I've watched a couple of videos and honestly just don't remember if people have spent a lot of time inverted. Although I'm not really much of an inverted flyer anyway. I'll try it just to see if it'll do it. But anyway, yeah, dihedral. There's definitely some dihedral or polyhedral in this wing. And when you put the wing halves together, it really becomes obvious. So this side definitely edges up some, no doubt about that. Okay, so another thing to notice about this plane, no flaps. The Spitfire, that was the last Phoenix model I did, that had the split flaps. This one, no flaps, so you only need the 4 servos for this plane. And it does use this plane does use standard size servos. Okay, here's the other wing. And this Phoenix is a big fan of the mechanical retracts. I kind of like mechanical retracts myself, although this time I decided I'm going to give the serverless retracts a shot and mess around with those. The reason I like mechanicals is because typically once you get them set up, they don't fail. The serverless, you know, I've seen those fail, so I'll just leave it at that. But I'm going to give it a try and see how I like them. I can always switch back if I don't. And thanks to the RC Groups thread, one of the guys posted a link to some serverless retracts from Hobby King, which are a direct plug-in play for the landing gear that come on the mechanical retracts in the kit. Okay, so those are the wings. This is the cowl. One of the other comments I've seen in the threads about this particular airplane is how narrow the cowl is, and I'll second that. It's definitely not a wide cowl, especially compared to like the Spitfire. That cowl on that airplane was huge. This thing is really small, comparatively speaking. So there's the cowl. Nice paint job. I on the Spitfire, I saw a couple little flaws, little blemishes. On this one, I see a little bit. Same thing. It's almost like they can't get it perfect, but they're really close. It's almost sad on one level because they're so close to perfect, but they never on these cowls seem to get it quite right. But it's good. I mean, it's really good nevertheless. So happy with that. The fuselage, really cool. You can tell by looking, this is definitely a departure from the traditional Warbird because the pilots are oxygenated. They've got their masks on. And they did a really nice job inside that cockpit. Sorry about the lighting. I don't know if I'll be able to get this without the lighting, but with the glare from the lights above. But you can see some of that detail on the cockpit. It looks kind of cool. Definitely a more modern spin on a military aircraft than what you get with the Warbirds. Anyway, sorry about the lights. I guess you're not going to be able to get the detail. There's a little bit you can see maybe in there. So this is a two-seater. I guess that's why they call it a trainer. So an instructor in one seat and the student pilot in the other. Same deal with the tape. I watched the Phoenix model video on YouTube of their factory, and they actually show one of the girls doing the tape along the edge. And I'm just amazed at the dexterity in those hands, man. They're so good at this. Those lines, I mean, this looks like it was done by a machine. That's how clean it is. Here's the nose compartment. This plane can fly with 5 or 6S packs. I think somewhere around 4,000 milliamp hours. I'm thinking I'll be flying with a 5S 4200 in mine. That'll definitely fit, no problem. The battery bay, definitely not as big as the Spitfire. The Spitfire was clearly bigger than that, but you won't have any problems fitting a 5-cell 42 in there. So, and then they've got the spring-loaded hatch release, and on the front, one little tab for the latch up front. Same thing with the covering on this plane. It's just tight everywhere. It's really well done. No wrinkles, no bubbles. Hell, even over the gap on the tail section, I got it right. And no bubbles back there either. And there's no wood in that spot. So it looked really nice. And the canopy, just spectacularly done. So, yep, fuselage is looking real sharp. So, by the way, if I didn't mention it, Pilatus is a Swiss company. So maybe that's where the red and white comes from. But I happen to like red and white paint schemes in the air. They look really good. They're visibility wise, they're very good. All right, here's a vertical stabilizer in the rudder. Nothing really to to write home about. I will mention on the Spitfire, I think my slot hinge on the Spitfire was off just a little bit. I think they got this one straight. I spent some time kind of examining it to make sure that all 3 hinges were perfectly in line, and they do look better on this one than they did on my Spitfire. All right, here's the wing spar. This is what joins the two together. That is, I don't know, 1/2 to 3/4 inch. So it's pretty stout. Definitely a stout wing spar. In terms of the motor, I decided to go, I'm building this one for speed. So this is a 700 kV Cobra. I like Cobra motors. So this one, I'm going to start out with a 13.8 prop. I spent a lot of time on eCalc looking at this combination. And I think that motor with the 13-inch prop should give me somewhere around 85 miles an hour. We'll see. The horizontal stabilizer and elevator, again, really well done. The covering, it just, I couldn't do it better. That's the thing I guess I'll say about Phoenix Model, is their covering for whatever issues you might find. I know one thing's for sure about it: I couldn't do it better than they do it. So makes me happy to have access to a covering job that's that good. Now, regarding the spinner, they of course include a spinner. The Spitfire spinner, if you watch that video, you know the back plate was kind of out of round. I get tired of messing with these things because it takes a while to get them balanced right, and even after spending the time, sometimes I still can't get them perfect. This is the first time I've tried this, but I'm trying a aluminum backplate spinner. This is a Great Plains spinner. I took the measurement out of the instruction manual when I ordered the plane. I think I got this thing on Amazon. It's a little bit shorter than the one that comes with the kit, and the red's probably the wrong color, but I don't care. I like my planes to be balanced. I like my props to be balanced. I like them to be very quiet. So I'm going to give that aluminum backplate spinner a shot and see what happens. Now, up front, I'm going to use the Hi-Tech servo, and it's the same one I used in the Spitfire, so I'm not going with the servoless retract up front. Unfortunately, Hobby King didn't have that in the US, which meant I would have paid a fortune in shipping. So I decided just to get the same Hi-Tech retract servo that I used on the Spitfire. And I'm showing you this because this is the way the box came from Tower, which is really surprising. They normally do a better job of packing things than that. It almost looks like it was used. But anyway, that's the HS75 ball bearing servo. Okay, here's the main landing gear. These are articulated or oleos, so these do compress. They're stout. There's no question about that. That's one of the other things I like about these 46 to 55 scale planes from Phoenix is the landing gear is stout. It's basically the same mechanical retract housing as on the Spitfire, so it's got a plastic trunnion, a metal case, and the mechanical retract. Again, one of the guys on the RC Groups thread said that these are direct. You can pull this gear off and put it right on the servoless retract. So that's what I'm going to try. And then the nose gear, that's of course steerable. So here's the nose gear, and they use a cable system on this one. So this is a pull arrangement for the nose gear. And this one also is an oleo, so that'll compress on landing. Hopefully we won't need much of that, but it's there just in case. The wheels, basically same wheels that came with the Spitfire. I think they're identical. The nose wheel obviously, oh no, I guess the nose wheel is a little bigger and the main gear a little bit smaller. Here are the gear covers, the gear door covers. Those go on there. And then I'm pretty sure that's the wing plate for where you bolt the wing to the fuselage. And then the bag of hardware that's pretty typical of these kits. I've pointed out in other videos, I like that Phoenix includes the surgical tubing. I think that's really important to put around these clevises. Here's the pull wire for the nose gear, the nylon bolts for the wing, and all the other clevises and screws and link stoppages that you need to put it together. And then the firewall kit. One thing I know about Phoenix models is I wish they'd stop doing this, but they drill the holes out for rimfire. So this is a direct rimfire bolt-up pattern. I like rimfire motors, but they're just more expensive. So I go with Cobras because you can save money, and they're at least as powerful or more powerful. So in this one, I already know what I have to do. I'm going to have to fill this up with epoxy and then re-drill to fit the Cobra motor mount. And there are the standoffs in the back. So okay, so that's pretty much it. Oh, the landing gear doors, these same thing on the Spitfire. These have to be trimmed. Recommend using Lexan scissors to do that, and then the little decal sheet. There's a couple push rods. Who cares? They're in the box. I don't bother showing those. But so that's it. I'll be working on this over the next couple of days and enjoying the build. These go together, piece of cake. Once you've done one, they're all pretty much the same. I've already looked over the instructions. They're all very similar. So I'll just work on this over the next couple of days. When I'm done, I'll get a build review up, and maybe I'll end up taking the Pilatus and the Spitfire together to maiden, because I still have not maiden the Spitfire. I'm still waiting for the 3-blade spinner from China. So maybe we'll get to mating both on the same day. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If it's been helpful, please hit like and subscribe. That helps my results show up a little higher for people who are looking for this material. Take care.